We begin with the character assassination of JD Vance. JD Vance is a threat to the Democrats because he understands and is attractive to the working class voters of the swing state Rust Belt, including Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, in a way Kamala Harris, a San Francisco liberal, is not. This, in a nutshell, is why the Democrats and their media allies are on an all-out campaign to destroy him. First, the governor of Kentucky, who is auditioning to get on the ticket with Kamala Harris, openly called JD Vance a phony, suggesting he's overstated his connection to hillbilly culture.
And I want the American people to know what a Kentuckian is and what they look like, because let me just tell you that JD Vance ain't from here.
JD Vance is a phony. He's fake. I mean, he claims to be from Eastern Kentucky, tries to write a book about it to profit off our people, and then he calls us lazy. And he called them lazy, acting like he understands our culture, and he's one of us. He's not.
Said it was weird that I attacked, and this is in his words, his quote, origin story. Fictional characters have an origin story. Real people have childhoods. So let me be clear. JD Vance ain't from Kentucky. He ain't from Appalachia, and he ain't gonna be your vice president.
It's a lie. It's a lie. He grew up in Middletown, Ohio. His family is from Kentucky, and he spent his summers there as a kid with his grandparents. This is pretty rich coming from a guy whose daddy paved his way into Kentucky legal circles and who, unlike JD, is not self-made, did not grow up in an abusive, fatherless household with Pepsi in his baby bottle. But okay, I guess he knows more about the working class and their troubles than JD, whose mother is right now a recovering heroin addict. In the wake of the assassination attempt against Donald Trump, the Democrats and the media may feel a tinge wary, perhaps, about immediately continuing their incendiary messaging about Trump being a racist, sexist, pig, Hitler. Not all of them. The Lincoln Project released an ad comparing Trump to Hitler within 48 hours of the shooting, but some. Who better to turn on then than the young, attractive, great American story holder, JD Vance? JD, who used to be more of an establishment Republican without much love for the 2016 version of Donald Trump, went through a fairly significant change on MAGA and its leader over the last 8 years. That's true. This has led much of the media to assert he's an opportunist, he's a money grubber, he's a phony. Just last night on CNN, Aaron Burnett paraded out a trans person who was one of JD's closest friends in law school. This was despicable. This coward, angry that JD Vance does not support so-called gender-affirming care for minors, that's not what it is, ended their friendship over this issue and then released dozens of their private texts with JD to the New York Times. Then the person goes on CNN to call JD craven.
What I've seen is a chameleon, someone who is able to change their positions and their values depending on what will amass them political power and wealth. And I think that's really unfortunate because it reflects a lack of integrity. He just started talking in this divisive, dismissive, and cruel way about people who were different from him. And that is just not the person that I used to know.
Not only did CNN allow this person to mischaracterize JD Vance's position, he is against sex change procedures for minors, not adults. They smeared his wife, Usha, too, suggesting she's also a whore for the mighty dollar.
Well, I don't think anyone knows what JD or Usha believe because they have literally changed their principles on every imaginable issue. What I think is reflected in both of their changing of their principles on every single issue is that their core value is amassing money and power, not the integrity and kindness that I think are core values of everyone in the Rust Belt.
Kindness. This person wants to lecture us on kindness as they stick the knife in both of these people who are very, very good to this person who goes by Sophia. I have no idea whether this is a biological woman posing as a man or vice versa. I don't care. All of this ignores the fact that a genuine and heartfelt turnaround on Donald Trump is not only possible, it's fairly common in America. Just today, the Wall Street Journal has a piece up noting that young men backed Joe Biden over Trump in 2020 by 15 points. Today, they backed Donald Trump by 14. a 29-point swing. Even yours truly has had a turnaround on Trump, who you may recall was not my favorite person, and vice versa, in the lead up to the 2016 election. What caused my feelings to change? He governed. He implemented policies to, for example, restore due process on college campuses for young men accused of sexual assault. He passed the anti-sex trafficking law protecting women and young girls. He revved up our economy. He rolled back regulations. He cracked down on illegal immigration. He struck racist DEI policies from the federal government. He kept us out of new wars and showed strength on the world stage. This after 8 years of an American apologist in the White House. I can relate to JD's reversal on Trump, and I can relate to his change of heart on the trans issue too. First of all, I think this person is despicable for attacking their old friends publicly in this way. JD went to visit this person after their gender surgery with like food and comfort. He showed kindness and love throughout. Because he doesn't want these barbaric procedures being performed on children now, he's evil? Come on. And CNN with no pushback with any of that. As our audience well knows, I too used to think the kindest route was to support kids who say they're trans, however possible. And I now see this issue so very differently. We are hacking up children's bodies. We are ending their fertility. We are ruining their chance at a healthy sex life, all in the name of not offending the radical trans activists. And it is morally unforgivable. This is the Democrats' policy, and it is harshly anti-woman. Women and young girls are being forced to share locker rooms and bathrooms and showers with men who parade around with their penises out, not to mention share their prison cells with serial male rapists. I guess we don't care because they're prisoners. Who cares what happens to the female prisoners? I do. They're forced to compete against men in sports in which teenage girls are suffering injury and permanent nerve damage, field hockey, volleyball, basketball, boxing. How is any of this pro-women? But the Democrats want you to believe the real problem is JD Vance's view that childless leftist politicians don't have the same kind of skin in the game that pro-family politicians with kids do, is disqualifying. Now, even some Republicans are suggesting maybe Trump should dump Vance over this whole thing. The Wall Street Journal just did a podcast on this very subject. Surprise, surprise. They're owned by Rupert Murdoch, who desperately wanted Doug Burgum as the VP nominee, according to the papers. That position is patently absurd and ignores the GOP long history with the media. The problem with JD Vance is not his comments about women, and the solution to his problems with the press is not finding a better, more moderate nominee. The GOP has tried that. If you do not think the press would be doing this exact thing to Doug Burgum or Glenn Youngkin or Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, you haven't been paying attention. They tried to paint John McCain as a racist for weeks after he released an ad in the 2008 campaign comparing Barack Obama to Paris Hilton and Britney Spears, a celebrity, not a serious person.
He's the biggest celebrity in the world. But is he ready to lead?
Ezra Klein called that ad crypto-racist. Bill Press, deliberately racist. Liberal blogger John Marshall. McCain portrayed Obama as a caricature of an uppity black man. Don Lemon, McCain incited hate. Hat tip to Joe Concha, by the way, for some of these reminders. John McCain, who adopted a 3-month-old Bangladeshi girl from an orphanage, his daughter Bridget, a racist. Sure. No surprise, though, according to Pew Research, the unfavorable articles about John McCain outweighed the favorable by a nearly 4-to-1 margin. Less than 14% of McCain's press was positive in the lead up to the election. Obama's 71% positive, or at least mixed. How about Mitt Romney 4 years later in 2012? They practically made the man into a Harvey Weinstein after an innocent comment at a town hall about wanting to hire more female employees and reviewing binders full of women to make sure he found them. You would have thought he said he liked to grab women by the P word. Here's just a small sample.
Oh, hello. I was just taking a look at Governor Romney's binder.
The idea there to go and ask where a qualified woman was
He just should have come to my house.
But I'm not surprised that he needed the help. I'm less concerned about his awkward construction and what it might say about his attitudes than I am about his record, which is poor.
What does that mean? I don't know. But he had binders.
Were they naked? I mean, it was a decent answer from a guy who clearly does not give a crap about gender equality.
Right. You would think he would at least keep all the women in the kitchen.
And Romney's like, oh, damn it. They came with a binder full of women.
We don't have to collect a bunch of binders to find qualified, talented, driven young women ready to learn and teach.
Binders of qualified women that he learned were out there. We Catholics call that an epiphany.
They also played the race card with Romney, arguing his push for welfare reform, akin to what Bill Clinton pushed through, was racist. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, just as one example, head of the DNC, told us flat out, she called it a shockingly transparent attempt to play the race card. And on and on and on it went. Look, the target here is not JD Vance, just as it wasn't Mitt Romney or John McCain. It's any Republican up against a Democrat, especially in a presidential race. It does not matter the man, it only matters the party. They will take perfectly benign comments and make them truly awful. There is no avoiding this, so stop pretending that there is. Finally, a word on reversals. JD Vance is accused of having changed his mind on Trump and gender procedures and even on cops. His ex-trans friend says he hated police and produced a text message reflecting that, but now he praises them from this stump. Reversals, absolutely fair game for a campaign. But that rule must apply to both sides. In the course of hours, Kamala Harris has reversed herself on no less than 4 major policy positions. She wanted to ban fracking. Now she says she doesn't. She wanted to take away private health insurance. Now she says she doesn't. She wanted to institute a mandatory gun buyback program in connection with an assault weapons ban. Now she says the buyback program is a no-go. And she backed Biden's hands-off approach to the border until days ago when she said she now supports more funding for enforcement. How did the press respond? By highlighting her old positions and calling her a flip-flopper, a political opportunist? Guess again. Here's Politico. Harris campaign pledges she won't ban fracking after Trump accusation. Quoting, Trump accusation? How about after she said repeatedly that she would ban fracking on camera and elsewhere? The body of the piece actually says the Harris campaign is now pledging not to ban fracking, quote, rejecting what it called false accusations by Donald Trump that she would if elected president, end quote. You know, it's a he said, she said. Instead of, this was absolutely her position, and there's zero doubt about it. Roll tape. What a fail, Politico. You ought to be ashamed. Bottom line is this. The Republicans are always up against a dishonest media that loathes them. They were in 2008. They were in 2012 with moderate, across-the-aisle kind of nominees like McCain and Romney, and they are with Trump and Vance. The solution is not to reassess the nominees. The solution is to fight fire with fire, stay on offense, call out the BS, and, as Donald Trump said 2 weeks ago, blood dripping down his face after being shot by an assassin, fight. If you are tired of the same old coffee from those mega corporations pushing their woke agendas, and who isn't, listen up. It's time to take a stand and support a brand that embodies American values. At Blackout Coffee, they stand with hardworking Americans who believe in family, faith, and freedom. They roast some of the most incredible coffee you will ever taste using only premium grade beans. And guess what? They roast and ship within 48 hours to ensure you get the freshest coffee possible. You could start your day with a bold cup of Blackout Coffee. Plus, it's not just coffee, it's a statement. Why settle for less? Make the switch to Blackout Coffee today by heading over to blackoutcoffee.com/MK or use the code MK for 20% off your first order. Why support these woke coffee companies? Go to blackoutcoffee.com/MK and the code is MK. Join the movement, taste the difference. Remember, with every sip, you are supporting a brand that stands for America. Be awake, not woke. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.